On my tombstone, I want written a fierce commitment to those that can and will. You're either someone that can and will or someone that can't or won't. And this job can and will get done. So we're going to train, coach, and compassionately support you, and in the process, find out which you are. We are fiercely committed to quickly exiting those that can't or won't for those that can and will. That's how we kill the cult of mediocrity.
So Jay, why does this matter?
Yeah.
Man.
I feel like that's a trick question. This matters because I think the word expectation has become noise. I think everybody knows we're supposed to set expectations. We're told set expectations. And then we go to try to set expectations and it doesn't go well. It leads to like an interaction where the manager walks away feeling like frustrated with their team member, a team member walking away feeling frustrated. And yet we continue to repeat this, set expectations. You can't coach unless there's clear expectations. In order for people to be successful, there needs to be clear expectations. So I thought, you know what, I wanted to give some clearer definition for what expectations really are, where we need to set expectations, so we could stop using expectations as like a throwaway term, like contributing to the theater of being a manager or being a leader. I can come to a meeting and I could say, I'm sorry, executive leadership team, that we failed on this project, but you know what I'm going to do next time? I'm going to set clearer expectations. And then the executive leadership team goes, at least they learned from this dumpster fire. And then they go and they wing it again because they don't really know what expectations looks like.
Well, the interesting thing about expectations is that it goes both ways. So the leader has the expectation of their team, but then the team has expectations of their leader as well. And if
what's the team's expectation of the leader?
To tell them what to do, to lead them, to guide them, to give them these 3 layers so that they are going into this project or working as a team and know what they're supposed to be doing. But I feel
because
like
the team members want to know what done looks like, right?
Yeah.
How to succeed. And they're looking to the leader to tell them what success looks like. Now, I agree that that is true, but I also agree that there's this cult of autonomy where people have bought into this idea that they are supposed to come up with the success criteria all on their own. And if their manager tries to give them the success criteria, they're micromanaging them. I clearly see a major flaw in that philosophy. What are your thoughts? So it sounds like you're in the camp of, hey, Jay, dude, just tell me how to be successful. I want to be successful. What do you need from me? And then support you.
Right.
What do you think of what do you think of the cult of autonomy?
I don't understand why you would want to work that way. Me personally, I feel like it presents so many challenges to a person trying to achieve success in their position on their team. Without guardrails, without instruction, no wonder 70% of projects are failing. How do you put together a project? How do you build a table when you pull it out of the box without instructions?
Or the picture of what it looks like. Damn IKEA. Yeah.
You can't. Yeah.
Exactly. So, you can't be that I'll know it when I see it expectations, right? Of leadership.
To really illustrate what you're saying, Faith, in more a lived experience way, I'm going to take you on an emotional journey. I want you to remember the time where you had an interaction with a manager and you walked away thinking you knew exactly what they needed, what success looked like. You worked really hard for 3 days and you were stoked. You feel like you nailed it. You delivered exactly what you walked away thinking they asked for. You went over to them, you dropped it on their desk and you were like, look at that. And they looked at it and they looked at you and they looked at it and they looked at you and they were like, this isn't what I asked for. How did you feel when that happened?
It's the worst feeling. It is the worst feeling.
Right. And this is the product of the cult of autonomy. Because they're going to deliver something and they don't want to be micromanaged. But how often are they going to deliver the thing that the manager thinks that they needed because the manager wasn't involved in defining it? And the manager's like, well, but I got to give them autonomy, right? So, hey, go, I trust you. Cool. But you just created that situation. You just created the situation where you were like, I trust you to figure it out. Then they did figure something out, but it wasn't what they or you really needed because it's not what was expected. They drop it on your desk. Time has been lost. They literally contributed to that feeling that you just described. Can you say it again? How did you feel?
Awful. Terrible. It's just the worst.
Right. And that creates the chaos.
What did that do? What did that do to the trust between you and the manager? The manager thinks they did it right. They trusted you and you screwed it up. So that's eroded their trust in you, even though they created that situation. But how were you feeling about the manager in that situation?
Like they didn't do their job.
Right. Like they'd left you out to hang.
Yeah.
Right. Because you know what? You were like, it's a terrible feeling, but you were also thinking, yes, it is. This is exactly what you asked for.
And do you know what the first thing I thought was? I'm not a mind reader.
right?
How was I supposed to know? Because clear expectations were not set.
Yeah.
These 3 layers were not hit. And if they were, and it was more of a collaboration together, I would have gone into that task. And when I say collaboration together, I mean we're both in it to win.
Right. So what I was loving about what you're saying, the context by which we are talking about expectations right now is that the manager is clear. The manager knows I need to be clear about setting those expectations. But you know what? Not all managers are expert at being managers. Not even some tenured managers are that good at being managers because they haven't taken the time, gone to the school, read the book. They feel like they're maybe just talented and they could wing it. But we all know that great leadership requires preparation. And I know that because I've messed it up so many times. But like, what responsibility does the team member have in saying, I'm not clear? Or even, hey, Jay, here's what I think you asked me for. So like, we're both working together, and this is what I heard, if I'm the leader and it's my responsibility to set clear expectations, I'm the team member and I have a responsibility to have clear expectations, and we both go into the conversation feeling responsible for making sure that happens, what degree of likelihood are we going to walk away with alignment and clear expectations? So this isn't a finger pointing exercise, right? Like
right.
It's the team's responsibility to work together to have alignment and clear expectation is what I selfishly inferred from what you're saying.
No,
Right.
absolutely. Yeah.
You can't have an expectation conversation without that like binary back and forth of like, is it, because you very clearly use the words here, set clear expectations, not manage expectations. Because when it's not done in a team collaboration mode, you're feeling like the leaders didn't set the right expectations, or then as the execution side, there's always a struggle. Well, I have to manage expectations with leadership on what I could actually deliver. Is there something with that duality?
Well, I've always felt like I need to protect myself from management, which is a terrible position for anybody to be. And I think it does come from being environments where it's not collaborative, where people are voluntold, people are expected to figure it out. Don't burden me. I'm the executive. Go figure out how to do your job. But by the way, don't piss anybody off and don't break anything. And by the way, innovation is required, but don't experiment because that's too risky. Okay. It's all full of these conundrums. So people don't know how to navigate. So I think in those environments where let's think about it. What is managing expectations? That's protecting yourself from the world around you. That's not doing your job. That's not creating value for the company, protecting your job. That's trying to protect your job, which is short-sighted. But if you're in an environment where everybody's behaving that way and it's status quo, it just looks like productivity, except for the numbers don't usually back that up.
Yeah. And I think it's so important too that when a leader or a manager is setting those expectations, that they know that they are allowed to be approached, or that they are approachable with any questions, concerns, comments. Because how many, I even know, even still to this day, there are times when I know I'm going to get on a call with just Jay and I get nervous. Why?
That's crazy.
Because he's the top boss. And when you have to approach the top boss in the environment and the culture that we have today in the working world, it is usually a scary thing. What? That shouldn't be. How are you supposed to do your job, ask questions, learn, grow, achieve as a team, and create successful projects if you can't and you don't feel comfortable going to the leader, the manager?
There's two sides to that. There's the scary bosses, okay? And there's a lot of them out there. And so people are not going to feel comfortable. I'd like to believe that's not the relationship that you and I have.
No.
And so where that comes from in not the scary bosses, our desire not to want to let the cool boss down. We don't want to look foolish, right? We don't want to let them down. And so I think what you just brought up is a reality that we have to acknowledge. Even the cool bosses, the bosses that want to tell themselves, well, I'm not scary. Well, no, sorry. If you are the person where the buck stops, no matter how cool you are or how safe they logically know they are with you, like, we're catastrophizers. It's our nature. It's how we stayed alive in a world that's trying to kill us. We're not the fastest. We're not the smartest. We're not the strongest. We don't have the biggest fangs. We've stayed alive by being literally cynical, right? And we all want to be successful. So then there's also our ego into play. Like, I don't want to look foolish. I'm going to this meeting with the top dog. I want to, right. Exactly. So even the coolest leaders need to understand that whether they're exercising their power or not, people are not going to forget that they have it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying kowtow to that or bow to that, to the cool bosses that are working hard to make it safe. I'm saying just be empathetic to that fact. Know that that's the story. And when things get heated, and no true partnership is frictionless, but when things get heated, you have to remember that you're the powerful person in the room.
Yes. Yeah.
And you have to consciously, because we should just feel safe because they know I have their back. And then there's how we feel, but then there's what we do. It's important for us to remember that, especially when things are heated, because that's when we're working through the important stuff. Something's on the line. We're arguing. And if people are arguing, it's because they care. And so I have to actionably make it safe. And by the way, I don't have to be the only one to actionably make it safe, right? Like there's been times in meetings where, because I'm passionate would definitely be a way that people would describe me, right? Like where one of you might jump in and be like, like, hey Jay, I know, for the rest of the team even, right? Hey Jay, I know you're not mad, but this is a passionate topic, but you seem mad. Should we take a break? In which I'd be like, okay, cool. That's not how I want to be coming off, right? Like, thank you for that. And then just allowing myself to be challenged publicly says, hey, this really is safe, right? That we can do this together. You brought up asking questions. You're like, hey, that leader has to be available. They have to be available for me to bring my questions and ask my questions. And it made me think the other day when you and I were working through something, and you were asking a lot of questions, and you apologized for asking a lot of questions. And I said, no. Never apologize for asking questions. This is what engagement looks like. You're engaged. It means you care. It means you're trying to do a good job. And on that note, I want to tell a story where I was a terrible leader. Like I learned that coaching that I gave to you the other day when you apologized to me was a hard learned. So as you guys know, Jake Roig, my best friend since I was 11, was employee number 1 25 years ago at 120 VC. And in those days, I wasn't just running the company. Like I was our number 1 consultant. So I was billing like 40, 50 hours. Plus I'm like training Jake. And Jake, like it became like a thing like, hey, Jay, you got a minute? I have a question. It became so much
like
so
a
that when
five-year-old. Why, Dad? Why? He coming at me and I'd be like, let me guess, you got a question. And Faith, I was frustrated by this. I was frustrated by this by what I was taught from the leaders that came before me. And that's that he should be capable of figuring it out. Over time, I realized, you know what? When I ask somebody to take care of something and they don't have any questions, like how engaged are they? This is how we learn. This is how we connect to a topic. This is how we grow to understand. And so if I present an idea to someone and I say, do you have it? And they say, I totally have it. There's no way they have it.
Yeah.
They haven't asked enough questions to have it. Like I thought through this long and hard before even bringing it to them. How are they going to be successful carrying this idea forward that I've just brought to them if they don't understand it at least as deeply as I do? So a good team member trying to do that, trying to understand that, they're going to ask enough questions that not only do they get their answers, but they're going to cause me to reflect much more deeply on it. And together we get more aligned. We get clearer with every iteration. I guess there are team members that are not trying, right? Like they're not trying. And so it's like spoon feed it to me, spoon feed it to me, spoon feed it to me. Or they're asking questions to get acknowledged or look smart in a meeting. That's a waste of time. But real engagement, and that's always been my experience with you. You're asking questions to understand. You're asking questions because you're engaged. You're asking questions because you want to get it right. And more importantly, you really don't want to be a burden. So there's this sort of like almost a conundrum. The people that are just asking questions because they want you to tell them how to do their job so they don't have to think, they want you to spoon feed it. The people that were literally carrying and are dragging down those who can or will.
Yeah.
They're never going to apologize.
Well, and I think the notion of apologizing for asking a million questions as, the employee to their leader or whatever, I think a lot of that has to do with time and prioritizing time properly. And I think that for me, for example, if I'm apologizing for all these questions, it's because I feel like I am, chipping away at important time for my leader, my boss, or my manager. And so I think when it comes to setting these expectations as a manager or a leader, not only are you taking the time to set the expectations and really break it down for this person, but also allow for the time for them to engage, to ask questions, to not have to apologize for taking your time to answer the questions because you've already put that time aside for them.
Let's define something else. What's the leadership mumbo jumbo? It's set your team members up for success, make sure they have clear expectations, and then be there to support them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Be there to help them. So what does that look like? What is the be there to help them? Be there for their questions.
Yep.
That's what the help is. What else would the help be? Do it for them? No.
Yeah.
Right? Like go defend them at the person that got pissed off in a decision that I wasn't a part of to begin with?
Mm-hmm.
No, because I was there in the beginning. We both think it'll work. We're in it together, right? Like, so if it doesn't work, like we're going to go together and we're going to be like, hey, this is what we were doing. This is what we learned. This is what we're going to do, right? There's none of that friction. So like, I think the be there to help is first, let's get clear together. Let's make sure that we both feel good about the approach that we're taking. And when we both feel good about the approach that we're taking, I've set you up for success. We're in it together. We have alignment and clear expectations, right? And then I'm there when you run into an obstacle and you're like, okay, I think I know what to do here, but since I'm in this with Jay, I'm going to run back and I'm going to say, hey, look, I just ran into this thing. You're going to give me the 1-3-1. Here's the 3 things I can do about it, but this is what I think we should do, right? And then I'm like, I like it, or I challenge until we get to something that we both like, and then you do, right? And the other thing is maybe you run into something and you're literally like, I don't even know where to begin a 1-3-1. You bring it back to me. And I'm like, okay, are you sure you don't know where to begin? And if I find out that I can't help you overcome that, because my goal would be, again, to help you figure it out, I might just say, okay, here's what I would do. And if you're like, cool, that sounds good, let's do that. Again, we're in it together and I'm investing, right? So what is being like, set them up for success, make sure the expectations are there, and then be there to help them. It's 100% of the time a question, even if it's phrased as a statement. This is what I think we should do. Mm-hmm. You're saying, this is what I think we should do, which gives me confidence that you've decided, right? But you're also waiting for me to agree. So it's like a statement, but the unspoken question is, what do you think? Don't let me walk off the proverbial bridge, Jay.
Yeah.
Right. Love it. Is there anything to the old adage, there's no such thing as a dumb question? Like,
no, that's the problem.
Question?
There is. There is a dumb question. There is. There literally is. And that's from people that can or won't. That's for people that aren't trying. That's for people that want to be carried. They do have dumb questions. But those people that are putting in the effort, the people that understand that work requires work and intentionality and discipline, there absolutely is no dumb question, because they're trying to solve for success as opposed to trying to, they want to collect a paycheck for doing the bare minimum. Those are the people that are creating drag. Those are the people that are asking questions before trying to figure it out themselves, right?
What's it called? Where someone pretends like they don't know how to do something in order to get someone else to do it. Weaponized.
Well, that's called manipulation.
Yeah. Or weaponized incompetence.
Teenagers.
You use your incompetence to eventually have someone else go, forget it, I'll just do it.
Yeah.
Which I've been on those teams. I have been on those teams and I'm always that person where eventually that person can't figure it out. And so I just say, screw it, I'll do it. And then guess what? They just got a free day.
Well,
less work.
That's also, that's why we have a fierce commitment to those that can and will.
Yeah.
That's why my leadership purpose is to inspire other leaders to elevate those who can and will, as opposed to pandering to those and coddling those that can't or won't. They can't be on this team.
Yeah.
They're not riding on the bus for free, because those that can't or won't drag down those, those that can and will make their job harder. And that's why we have bloated teams. That's why so many managers think they need 100 people to do what 20 can and wills do. Because if they've got 20 can't or won'ts, you need more than 20 can and wills to overcome that. 30, 40 can and wills to overcome that. Because the can't and won'ts are creating drag.